Good morning. My name is Maria Destor, and I go live on Tuesdays to share tips with you on how to create work and bring work into your life that fits your life and not the other way around. And today we're going to be talking specifically about attracting opportunity. We all know those people, they're so lucky. It just always seems like everything falls in their lap. Well, there's when you dig below the surface, there's usually more to it. Sometimes when we're out there looking for a job, those pivots stretch so long that it becomes your identity almost. And you might become a freelancer, you might do some consulting, you might pick up side gigs, anything you can do to get through this period. And you tell yourself it's only temporary and you're doing all the things. But the weeks go by, week after week, month after month, and you're still here. And then let's not talk about life. Life has its own demands. And then you find yourself saying yes to caregiving, saying yes to volunteering, because at the end of the day, that's the only time you feel useful or like you're contributing. Today, I want to talk about how you can use this time to attract opportunities. I want to tell you about Kimberly. We crossed paths over and over again over the years. She signed up for some of my free things. We would see each other at networking events, and with the constant connection, we just became friends. She was consulting, applying for jobs when she saw them, exploring opportunities. We would even laugh sometimes about the absurd interview questions she had been asked, like, could you watch an animal being euthanized? I don't think I want that job. Through layoffs, constant rejection, and a lot of near misses, Kimberly stayed connected and consistent. And one day, she got a DM in her inbox. It was an org asking if she was open to have a chat. And within 10 days, she had a job offer. Was it luck? Like I said, when you dig a little deeper, patterns emerge. And I'm going to share them with you today so that you can start attracting your own luck. Number one, Kimberly positioned herself as a go-to expert in her area of expertise, which was nonprofit fundraising. She would constantly attend trainings and conferences and connect with every single person, start conversations. She would speak at workshops and lead leadership events. She would share on social media and comment in other people's posts. She would show up wherever things were going on, civic associations, cities' nonprofit circles. She not only became known as the nonprofit fundraising girl, she became a go-to resource. Action steps for you. Identify your niche or what your zone of genius is. How do you want to be known? What do you want to attract? Clarify that message and make sure that your branding, your resume, your LinkedIn, your website, your portfolio, your networking blurbs, whatever, it's all aligned. And ask yourself, how can you show up this week with confidence and clarity and begin to position yourself? Number two, Kimberly always shared I can't even talk to, generously to build authenticity and trust. She didn't hoard her expertise, she gave freely. She volunteered with her peers at their fundraisers because she got to meet people. She ran leadership conferences. She connected people to resources such as grants. She even sent me some grants once. And she cheered on everybody when they had a win in their community with their fundraising, being front and center. This is how leaders are made. So, what action step for you this week? Can create and share content that educates, inspires, or supports others. And let's not forget, solve other people's problems. Contribute in online communities, in your office, wherever you are. Volunteer, mentor. Where can you give today without expecting anything in return? The next thing that Kimberly did was cultivate this strategy of visibility. All of the things we talked about raised her visibility, but she also showed up at major fundraisers with city movers and shakers, expanding her network. She went to Chamber of Commerce meetings. She went to women's philanthropy groups. She went to leadership events and even volunteered to run them. You don't need to show up everywhere. You need to understand your industry and where the people you need to get in front of are. So your action steps would be to identify those platforms, those events, those communities that are aligned with where you want to go and who you want to meet and who you can support. You need to put these things on your calendar. I don't know about you, but I live by my calendar. And if it's on there, I go. What can you put on your calendar this week for the next couple of weeks that can help move in this direction? Explore those opportunities, apply to be a speaker, volunteer to be a speaker. Ask yourself, where does my audience show up and how can I get there? The next thing and the last thing is just having that faith. When you're going through a prolonged career pivot, trying to build a business, trying to find a job, trying to get out of being underemployed and unappreciated, you have to have the positivity and the patience. Can't constantly be a push. Going through the first 3 steps positions you for the pole. Throughout it all, Kimberly had this faith. She stayed focused on building the relationships and building the value. And when it was time and when the opportunity came into her inbox, of course, the timing wasn't great, but she was prepared to say yes. So, what action steps can you take? Show up authentically, be positive. I know it's hard. Build one habit this week that supports your mental fitness, that confidence, that resilience. Connect with someone. Stay patient and curious. Keep learning, keep growing, and be ready because when that opportunity comes, it may not be the best time, but you have to be ready to recognize it and say yes. I know that your next best thing is coming your way, and you can attract it faster by doing any of the 4 things. So, which of these tips are you going to do this week? And join me next week. I'm going to zoom in on strategy number 1. Be seen and sought. 4 hacks to become the go-to expert in your zone of genius. We're going to talk about how you figure out what your zone of genius is and how you can position yourself. Lots of in the weeds details. So don't miss it. I will see you next Tuesday. Thanks for joining me.